Welcome to another round on the red clay. John, here, you there. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do. It's our tour of the high school soccer scene in the state of Georgia, presented as always by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. And today's a little different. And this go round, it was kind of something that came through an idea from a previous conversation. And it started with our friend Cody Case, who's the head coach down at Valdosta on the boys' side. We've had Coach Case and Coach Davis on our show before on the live side, on the morning show, to explain what the growth of the program is and their level of investment and trying to continue to advance what's going on at Valdosta when it comes to Valdosta High, when it comes to the boys and the girls teams there when it comes to soccer. And so Cody reached out and reminded us that the Winnersville Classic was going to be what ends up as yesterday, the 24th of February. And it kind of sprang from that idea. From the time that I have covered high school athletics here in the state of Georgia, I know what Winnersville means on the high school football, FOOTBALL side, American football. I know what that means. All you have to do is say Winnersville, and everybody knows it's Lowndes and Valdosta. Get your tickets the second they go on sale. Otherwise, you're not going to get into the other team's venue. Camp out on the day when the school closes on that Friday. If it's at Lowndes and Martin Stadium, as soon as they let you on campus, you find your parking space and you tailgate and you're ready to go. If it's at Valdosta State over at Bazemore Hyder, then you find your parking space when you can, you tailgate, you wander over, and, you are one of the fortunate ones to have a ticket for either one of those games, regardless of where it is, either at Bazemore Hyder or at the Concrete Palace. And so I know about that. High school football around the country knows about that. South Georgia knows about that. But in the conversation that I had with Cody, I was wondering about the soccer version and where it is when it comes to recognition, appreciation, the four programs, meaning both the boys and the girls programs at Lowndes and Valdosta. And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to catch up with the four coaches who have graciously given us 10 minutes each of their time. And if a coach comes in early, I'm going to bring them in early. We'll have crosstalk. If they want to stay late, they can stay late. That's fine. But the rundown is Coach Van Hook at Lowndes for the boys' side. He's coming up here in about 6 minutes. Lieutenant Colonel Derek Wayand, who is the girls' coach. He's coming up at 12:20. Then you have Coach Davis from the Valdosta girls side at 12:30, and Cody Case is going to run the anchor leg. He's going to be with us at 12:40. So the conversation today, after we're done with that, we'll get into scores from last night and set up the day as we have it. But you look at something that is one name. Madonna, Arnie, Jack, Tiger, that, you know what that means. Shakira, just whatever. One name is one name. Winnersville, you know what it means. And so I wanted to put things into the context of the soccer and the soccer teams and the growth of the sport for Red Clay today. And so, yeah, obviously we'll have, all the stuff going on with the game itself. Today it's secondary. And while I do want to talk about each of the teams that they have and what they've been able to see in the first handful of matches this year, the result on the field is secondary to what I wanted to discuss when it comes to the sport in South Georgia on the high school level for two of the signature programs in athletics in the state of Georgia, regardless of classification, and in the southeastern United States. and in some circles, in some sports nationally. Everybody, when it comes to high school football, knows Valdosta. Everybody knows Lowndes. They know the Georgia Bridgemen when it comes to the band at Lowndes. They know the history of Bazemore Hyder Stadium when it comes to Valdosta. They know what baseball means to both of these programs. They know what basketball means to both of these programs. But when it comes to soccer, with this being a World Cup year, with this being part of the discussion that we've been having about the growth of the game in and of itself, that's why I wanted to find out about the level of investment that these coaches have, their support, the depth of talent that's there, anyone that should be getting looks, like our Georgia call-up program is letting us know about. Anybody getting looks at all when it comes to the next level, or are they focused more on academics, meaning the rosters of these 4 teams? So I wanted to kind of make this a just kind of peeling back the curtain a little bit on a rivalry that everyone knows about, but not necessarily in this sport, if that makes any sense. Because we've had coaches from Thomas County Central on. We've had coaches from Richmond Hill on. Richmond and Region 1-6A, by the way, they are already in region play. And so you had Camden and Richmond Hill playing last night, as a matter of fact. What Richmond Hill has been able to do in growing their program. Where are the Winnersville programs in that discussion, and how is it progressing? So you could call it a couple of different things. It's peeling back the curtain on these 4 programs, peeling back the curtain on these 2 schools, peeling back the curtain on the soccer community in Lowndes County and in Valdosta and in South Georgia, really, because it probably bleeds over into Brooks County. We know it bleeds into Tift County with Tift High and Colquitt over, 40 minutes away in Moultrie. So with the growth of the game, I wanted to see where these 2 programs are on both the boys and the girls side. So that's where we are today with Red Clay on Wednesday. And like I said, I will send a note to each of the 2 schools' athletic directors if either of any of these 4 coaches get into any kind of trouble about skipping lunch, having somebody cover for lunchroom duty, those kinds of things, if they're in class, that kind of stuff. So I initially, when I sent out the email to the 4 coaches, I never want a coach to get in any kind of trouble for being on the show here at noon, or if they're available for the morning show and we talk about things come playoff time. So I want to make sure that I can have the time available that doesn't get them into any kind of trouble, basically. And so that's why and Cody Case has kind of turned into an associate producer for this show. He's like, okay, Coach Van Hook is here, Coach Wayand is here, and Coach Davis is here, and I'll do the last one. So Cody gets an AP credit in this particular program when it comes to where everyone slots in. And Lieutenant Colonel Wayand, I think, is just going to be joining us in audio because we believe in safe guesting. And I think that he's going to be in between things. And so he's going to hang out with us for about 10 minutes. Each coach has been given like a 10-minute window. If they want to stay late, they can stay late. If they want to come in early, they can come in early. That's perfectly fine. So that's kind of where we are with this layout today. And I'm hoping that at the end of this show, we can kind of once again sit here and say, okay, the sport is growing and it's growing here, and some of the messaging and some of the stumbling blocks that are there, the challenges that are there, the successes that are there can be universally ingested, for lack of a better word. And you can sit there and can compare notes with with your favorite program and go, okay, so if a program like this in the largest classification in the state of Georgia, and we're talking 2 of them, are by themselves in South Georgia in this classification, what are the challenges? How do they tackle them? What does this rivalry mean? All these kinds of things. How are you growing the program? All of those elements. And so regardless of how large or small your favorite program is, I'm hoping that some of the answers that we get here today will be similar to possible things that you might be confronted with or challenged with in your favorite high school programs. But I just wanted to do that through the microcosm of these four teams and this particular matchup. And like I said, the results yesterday are secondary. And just for the record, Lowndes swept yesterday. It was 5-1 for the boys and 11-1 for the girls. So, yes, you have Lowndes winning a region game on the boys and the girls side for the Winnersville Classic. But once again, it is something where you have all of this stuff that you're having to tackle in this region with this sport in areas that are more focused on other things and other sports, whether it's baseball, basketball, this time of year, or American football. How do you coexist, I guess, is probably one of the questions that is there. And we see this with a lot of football powers. And by the way, these two teams will meet up again on March 24th. And it will be the second, toward the end of the second wave of region play in and of itself that you're staring at. So you've got matchups for Lowndes, just to give you an idea. They're going to take about a week. And so that would be, I think, Tuesday is Tift County. Then next Friday is at Richmond Hill. And then you get into non-region, Thomas County Central. Jackson County is an interesting one. Colquitt County. And then you get back into your region play in the middle of March to get you through the sprint of that final month of the season to get you into the playoff picture. So that's kind of where things are when it comes to this particular part of the schedule. And Coach Van Hook should be joining us here in the next little bit, and we'll kind of break down with him when it comes to the boys' side of things. And as promised, here we go, is our first coach on the afternoon. Coach Van Hook, thanks for dropping by.
Thanks for having me. Absolutely.
What I wanted to do with this show, and I think that Cody Case has kind of been my assistant producer in this, and what I wanted to do was have the four of you on today to look at the challenges, the successes, the growth for a program that is in an institution, meaning Lowndes High, that has a lot of successful other programs, and where your program is in it. So
Sure.
For someone who hasn't seen Lowndes boys soccer, how would you describe where it is and the challenges that you have on a year-by-year basis?
Yeah, sure. It's I feel like it's, especially when you look in the southern part of the state, with programs, you're going to have a few that are statistically always very competitive, and then the majority of them is to me, it's going to be very up and down. You'll have those 3 or 4 years of really high level play, and then you're going to have a little bit of a reset. For us, luckily at the moment, we should be what I consider at our best at the moment. And that could always change. Depth is always an issue around here, especially if you're in a smaller town like we're in, but you have two very big schools. Some of that talent's at one school and some of that talent's at another one. And just really keeping the guys motivated and reaching out, trying to find those kids that we're missing. Whether it's and funding is a big deal sometimes too, and so with player dues and things like that we have to run, I know that we miss kids without a doubt, that sometimes they can't afford that, or they may have to work or whatever it is. So I think our biggest challenge in the past is, let's find those missing pieces. Let's find those kids. Let's get out in our school system. Let's promote our program, and ultimately build a good culture. I think culture is that's going to grow any program regardless. If you got the right culture, that's exactly what you need. And so for us currently at Lowndes, with the boys and girls program, we have a lot of youth. We have up and coming middle school kids that are no doubt going to help us out a ton. But we want them to buy into the program and make sure that it's a family feel, parents included, whatever it is, just getting that community involved. And for like this, perfect for this, this presentation here is that, we just had the Valdosta Lowndes Winnersville game last night. And as long as Coach Case and I, we've been on the same page since he's come over. I think that's huge too, is we do this together. While we're on the field for those 80 minutes, it's bad blood, but at the same time, once that's all said and done, Let's grow this as a community. Let's partner up. Let's go find those missing pieces that each school need based on where they live and all that good stuff for jurisdiction things, and just kind of roll from there. But the greatest challenge is just to continue to build it that way that you've always got. When you lose that senior group, you've got those guys that are ready to roll the next season or whatever it is. So we've found a lot of success recently in our summer programs that we do. We do camps with the little ones that in the school system. We're working with our local parks and rec for off-season stuff so they can control that with 7v7 play. We invite Valdosta, Colquitt, these surrounding communities. We love for them to have their players involved as well. And so I think that just that helps things. So like just keep them going and keep the love of the game going for them in a positive manner, but year round. And just making sure you're doing it right, because there's definitely a right or wrong with it. And at the same time, not throwing too much at them. They need a break. Their kids have got school. We just want to make sure that we're doing what we need to do to continue to build and build that family, build that culture, and just continue to do that. And always learn and always grow.
Yep. Lieutenant Colonel Wayand is going to be coming in after you. And if we can turn this into a group conversation, you can stay as long as you want. I don't want to get you into any trouble, but if I need to send a note to the principal, just let me know.
You are just fine. I'm looking out a window right now in my office in my class. I teach culinary, so I got to keep an eye out. If I see a fire and this computer drops,
yes,
we got something going on.
Okay, just checking.
No, we're good.
How would you describe the support system there at Lowndes when it comes to what you and the Lieutenant Colonel are trying to do with the soccer program?
It's great. I mean, I think it's kind of like ears wide open kind of thing when we have ideas, and Coach Wayne, he has way more ideas than I do. His experience in the military, he's very structured, and he sees the big picture. And so he does such a great job of planning for that big picture, and he is not afraid to throw those ideas out there, not just to me, because I'll accept them 100%. Whatever he's going with, I'm on board. But for the school system, for the board, he's not afraid to reach out there and say, hey, we need this or we need that. And honestly, I can't complain too much about the school system giving us as much as we need, on different levels, regardless of what it is. We've got one of the best maintenance crews that there is. And if there's any issues on the field or lighting, whatever it is, they handle that really quick. So any hiccups that we have, they're handled very quick. And, and applause to our athletic director too. And just having that support too. Soccer's, we know we're in South Georgia and in the state of Georgia, football reigns supreme, but American football. But at the same time, having that support from our other athletes, having support from our athletic department, having support from our educators, our teachers in the community, man, that's huge. It makes the kids feel wanted, welcome, and we've got 100% backing on that, and I absolutely love it.
You get the Bridgman to come over and play at halftime?
I'm trying to work that out with the drummers. I am, and it's, I don't know, if you come to our venue, one of the best things about our venue is one of the best things we play on grass. That's great. No turf yet. But to me, the best thing is the atmosphere. Those kids, those fans are literally, they're separated from the field by just a fence, a small fence. And so with our student section, I've been toying with the idea, let's get some drums in there and let's get some chants going, like you're going to see in Europe. And haven't quite gotten there yet because I'm a little bit afraid of what we might create. But I don't know. We'll give it a shot. We're going to give it a shot.
When it comes to support from the community outside of the school system, meaning teachers, principal, AD, superintendent, those kinds of things, what about support from the community on the whole? How would you characterize that?
Yeah, it's great. It's been building too. And I think success breeds success. And so there's been plenty of down years, and the fan support wasn't that great. But at the same time, there's that was kind of those ups and downs that I was talking about earlier. To me, it's kind of the same with the fan base. But luckily, I would say within the past 2 or 3 years, we've built that culture now where people want to come watch. They expect a good game. I hope they expect wins I hope that's where we're at now, but they expect good games. They have a great time. And again, I think that environment definitely helps too. It just takes, you showing up to one really good game, and then I feel like you're hooked. I think that's kind of a misconception in the United States. Like, I don't know anything about soccer. And it's like, well, just give it a shot and take a look. Watching on TV is one thing, but actually being there and learning the game and seeing it, especially if it's your classmates or your sons or your daughters or whatever it is, when you see them in action, it gives you a better perspective, probably a better appreciation too.
What is your background with the sport? How big a fan are you? What's your lineage when it comes to the sport itself?
Yeah, so I began playing when I was 3, and so and I say playing like when you're 3, you're just running around in a circle chasing a ball. But and that was in the mid '80s, and soccer was, you didn't see it on TV. It was just this thing. Let's get your kid out there and let them run around and stay busy. So I introduced my parents to that, and I have no idea how it caught my mind. I had no clue at that age, but I always loved a soccer ball, and started playing. And I played and played. We did club ball. I'm originally from Thomasville, so I went to Thomas County, and back in the '90s and early 2000s. Not to take anything away from them now, but back then, we were pretty solid at that sport. It's just, it wasn't nearly what it is now in the U.S. It's grown a lot, but when I got into club ball, my dad was a football coach first. He was a baseball coach second, a basketball coach third, and then when I got closer to high school, I think I was in 6th grade. Thomas County opened up their soccer program, and he took on that head coaching role. And so he was doing that. I was always there. 8th grade, I'm playing JV. Back when that was the thing to do because you didn't have middle school soccer. And so my dad grew that appreciation as well. And that was tough being coached by your father. All 4 years, there was always hiccups, but sorry about that.
That's not like a microwave oven, is it?
Absolutely. That's our bell system.
Okay.
We hear it a billion times a day. I love it. I hear it in my sleep. But yeah, I think it grew my appreciation of the game as well as my dad's, and it helped our relationship a little bit. Maybe not the best in high school, but once I was done with it, it was, you miss it, when you're playing at your highest level, which for most of us, it is high school. Once that game ends, I think you grow a better respect and better appreciation of it, especially for those guys and ladies that continue to do it past high school, past college. Like it's just awesome. And after I graduated, I moved to Valdosta at that point, and I played a little bit here and there with our fraternity. And at VSU, there was no soccer program, and the women's didn't exist then. But it got like that need for it, I feel like was still always there. When I moved to Charleston and I came back, I was working at a technical school teaching culinary arts, actually, and I was following EPL. So I'm a big Arsenal supporter. Hopefully we don't bottle it again this year. But
I was going to ask about that, but
yeah, it's just got to make the end of the season better. I think, I don't know, for somebody. Hopefully it's Arsenal supporters, but I really started following them when I moved back from Charleston, and when I was teaching at tech school, I had the opportunity from Lowndes to take on this culinary role, and I took that position. And honestly, it was like, hey, summer's off. I love it. Let's do it. But then my first year, I'm in a meeting, and the former coach, Jordan Bright, he's still a part of the program. He's like a director for us. He is like our all-knowing guru guy. And we were in a meeting one day, and I had to introduce myself in the meeting and my background, and he heard the word soccer. So he approaches me after the meeting and said, hey, we just started a 9th grade program. Would you like to be the 9th grade coach? I said, absolutely. This is my way, back into the sport. And so I've been with it since. And, I don't miss it. My son is a senior this year as well, and he plays. And so that's obviously a huge part of it as well. But like I mentioned earlier, it's just the relationship that you build with these kids, and they know you. If you're doing things the right way, that's that success breeds success. That's that culture. That's that up and comers. They're coming. They're ready to play. And I think that's all kind of transpired over time. And as of now, like I'm in love with it. My wife may say otherwise as far as how she feels about my time that I spend here, but yeah, it's part of life.
What I've done is my interests kicked back in probably a dozen years ago with the title race with City and United, and it went to the
Yeah,
last day. And then I would watch that year when it was reintroduced back to American television, and the way that I got the boss to understand what I was watching is I break it down into Southeastern Conference college football definitions.
yep,
And so, that last day of the season, I was explaining to her, because you're watching, Manchester City playing QPR, and I broke it down as, okay, Alabama is playing Vanderbilt in Tuscaloosa, and Vanderbilt is winning. And so that's how I always will break down these matchups for her. And so she'll understand and get a context of what she's looking at. And now she is wearing all the Atlanta United gear. And the second it comes in the house, she's like, "Oh, I like that." And I know what that means. So, I mean,
yeah,
she'll sport the Atlanta United stuff. She'll wear the stuff for the twos. And so she understands it from that SEC entry point. And so that gives her an appreciation and context of what she's
yeah,
watching happen in front of her. And
yeah.
so that's how it is in this house. What do you need?
Well, I mean, always just I think more education of the sport, just more things like this. Get the word out there. Let the state know that that this game is outside of Atlanta as well, in the rest of the state, and there's really good athletes. There's really good competitors. Any college coaches looking, come down and look. There's plenty of schools down here that have the athletes. It's just we need the attention, and we just need the support. That's the biggest thing. Other than that, we have the kids, we have the culture. We've got some club programs around with the United. Tass out of Thomasville's growing, and then right here being on the Florida border, we have Jacksonville and Tallahassee as well. So that has helped us a lot. That youth development has really helped us a lot. What I would like to see in Valdosta is the opportunity, because of our numbers, the opportunity for a club to be based out of Valdosta. That would be huge for us and Valdosta High School. And our numbers are crazy. I think we had, just on boys this season, we had 95 come try out. And that was a record for us. That's a ton. So we're doing something right. But the growth can always keep on coming. And that's part of our job, is to continue that. The community does a really good job. But I would just like to see, maybe that club system pick up, and then we see more competitive play against the best of the best within the state. And then just that exposure, just something like this is perfect.
And along those lines, what we have started doing this year is we call the Georgia Call Up. And when the other version of me is in American high school football season over at Georgia Public, we do the Make That Kid an Offer. And so we've started doing that here at SDH, and we call it the Georgia Call Up. Are there any student athletes on your roster that, for whatever reason, aren't getting the looks to go to the next level that you think they should be getting, or not getting any looks at all, that you should be sitting there and saying, no, you need to look at this student athlete? Does anybody qualify in your senior class that would be part of that particular category?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I'm just off the top of my mind, I know we've got we have 7 seniors. Out of that 7, I know for a fact that 4 of those guys could compete, no doubt about it. It's just against that exposure. And behind them is, to me, we're loaded. We have a strong 10th grade group. And 2 or 3 guys in our junior class as well. As if they continue the pace that they're at, I don't see why there should be no reason why they're not being looked at. And luckily, our opening game this year, Thomas University out of Thomasville came over, and he wanted the rosters. He was looking at seniors. And I love that. That's the start. I haven't had that. Like, I took over the program on the boys' side 3 years ago. And since then, that was our first look from a college that I'm aware of. And like I said, there's to me, there is definitely that opportunity for some of these guys. If that opportunity arises, I would absolutely love it. Like it would be huge because I know that they could do good things, great things.
Okay, who
Um,
are they?
so right now, I haven't entered stats in from last night, but Zachary Scott, he's one of our captains here. He's a 4-year varsity. He's your all around guy. We'll play him at left wing. We'll play him up top at striker. We'll play him sometimes at center back or even an outside back. Heck, sometimes if we need a keeper in practice, he could be one of the better keepers. I mean, he's just one of those athletes. And you got to love the leadership that he has, and he's come a long way. From that ninth grade immaturity level to being very direct player. You're now seeing movement off the ball and those curling runs that we want to see. He understands how we want him to play on that winning role. We want him to get into the box because of his speed and physicality. Number one, we've got look, my son, and I don't want to.
Yeah,
That's not one I want to really go
right.
at. If I feel like if he had the drive to want to do it in college, I think no doubt about it, he definitely could. He's our center mid, so but I think with him, it's hopefully I haven't pushed him too much, but he's a solid player as well. And then we got a transfer in a couple of years ago from a local private school here. His name is Wyatt Root. He's our center back, and he was all region last year as a first-year player for Lowndes.
Mm-hmm.
So he's gone from this very small private school and he wanted to move up in competition, and that's why he chose to come to Lowndes. He played club ball with a lot of our kids currently that we have on our varsity roster. And he was never really one to be in club where it was like, wow, he's really standing out. But then once he got here to Lowndes and he stepped on that field that first time, his leadership was unbelievable. He doesn't make that many mistakes, if any. He's level-headed, just a great person. And I tell people all the time, he's a better person than a better player. Like he's going to be so successful at anything he does. I mean, true leader. And he's our other captain. And those Zach and him, to me, they completely stand out as just like, they could be, depending on how good they want to be, they could be the best at it, in my opinion, because their work rate is just unbelievable.
Right.
And I don't want to leave any of the other seniors out, but we've got some beasts behind them as well. We've got a 10th grader. His name's Liam Delaney. He scored 2 last night and had an assist against Valdosta, and he's a 10th grader. He finished 3rd in the world in CrossFit games for his age group a couple months ago. Just a stud. And that 10th grade group, we've got Carlos Landaverde and a kid named Johnny Castanon, as well as our keeper, Landon Coppage. All of those guys start, and they are huge factors on the field for us every single time they get out there and provide good leadership too, just for 10th grade. So I could send you the roster and I'll highlight the names, but hey, anybody on that roster, I believe in them.
4-2-1 after the win last night, and I cannot thank you enough. Is anything set on fire? Is everything okay?
No, yeah, I think we're good. It's actually really quiet, so that's either a good thing or a bad thing. When you teach culinary, it's pretty loud in here, and so for it to be quiet, they either ate and now they're asleep, or something's going wrong. So we'll find out. Time will tell.
Yeah, Coach, I can't thank you enough for dropping by and breaking everything down from your perspective there with the Lowndes Boys program. Do not be a stranger. Obviously, we're going to keep an eye on Region 1 6A and find out what else is going on as you're kind of in that first wave of region play, and then you get the break, and then you go back into region play to wrap things up in the final month of the regular season. Thank you for coming by during your lunch, keeping an eye on things there, making sure that everything is going to stay upright and not broken when it comes to making the meals there in culinary class here in the noon hour. I can't thank you enough for dropping by. Don't be a stranger.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. We really appreciate it.
I mean, there's Coach Van Hook on the boys' side. So they got the win last night, 5-1. And it was a big win for them once again. They're 4-2-1 as they continue to get their season going. And then they've gone from the non-region part. And the schedule, if you look at their schedule, not messing around, because you put in there You start off scrimmaging. You got Ware County, Thomasville's in there, Perry is in there, where they won in PKs in Perry at St. Clair. Then they go to Veterans as a part of that. Then Camden County, they're in region play. They get the win. Then they win last night against Valdosta. So good start for the program there in region play, and we will obviously keep an eye on things as it continues to go. So we're going to kind of do this on the fly. Like I'm waiting to see if a Lieutenant Colonel Wayand can become free from what else he's doing on the noon hour. Perfectly fine. I understand. Like I said, it's a noon hour, and we are really preying on the idea that we can, get a couple of minutes to find out what's going on. And I can't thank Coach Van Hook enough for his time. Coach Davis and Coach Case coming up here from the Valdosta side of things coming up here in just a little bit. But that's why I wanted to do this show today, was to find out about the backgrounds, what Coach Van Hook was able to tell you about community and bringing in all the elements and trying to grow a program and getting folks to see what's going on when it comes to any and all of the ideas. And so now we're going to go to the flip side and go to the Valdosta boys coach and find out what else is going on and what else is going on there as well. Cody, my friend, thank you for being the associate producer for this show. I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem. I enjoy getting South Georgia a little more exposure.
Yeah, well, and I mean, that was what I was explaining to everybody when, I came up with the idea of this program today specifically, and just have it be themed based instead of traditionally it's like checking in with coach here, coach here, coach here. You reminding me about the first round of Winnersville is like, oh, let's find out about it in and of itself and the rivalry and where it sits when it comes to all of the other sports on campus and there in town. Because, think of all the single name things that you can look at, and whether it's, like I said, Shakira, Madonna, Tiger, Jack, Arnie, Winnersville, what that means. So where is Winnersville in your mind when it comes to the soccer side of things? And we'll bring in Ben to be a part of the conversation here too. So when you think of Winnersville from the soccer side, how would you describe it?
I think that it has been competitive before, and we want to make it competitive again. I think the last few years it was more of a formality. Hey, Lowndes is going to come in, they're going to beat Valdosta boys, and they're going to go home. And I think hopefully we're trying to change that. Didn't really work out in our favor last night. However, we are in year one. We're trying to build, and we're trying to teach concepts and tactics that are new to a lot of these players. And so, hopefully that we'll be able to reap those rewards and, next time later this season, going into next year.
You're kind of looking at seeing how things continue to grow and evolve. Now Ben is joining us as well. So we have the full Valdosta side of things. We have the full gocats.org version of what's going on here. So Ben, I asked Cody how he would describe Winnersville from his perspective on the boys' side. How would you describe Winnersville on your end on the girls' side, just as a matchup and a part of the pantheon and the chapters when it comes to the Winnersville Classic, regardless of sport?
Well, for certainly, it's definitely a highlight on the schedule. Our girls know it's coming. Our girls know when to be prepped. For our girls, it's the development of our team is trying to get ourselves and get ready to compete. And for the better part of 20 minutes yesterday, we had a lead and played great against them. The girls were ready to come out of their skins out of the locker room and just ready to sell all out and played great for 20 minutes, having a lead for the first time in 4 years, scoring a goal for the first time in 4 years. So those little aspects of things we're really trying to develop. We're on the road, the brick road, headed down. The goal of is reaching and competing and being at the same level with Lowndes and making it a competitive rivalry. And that's the pure goal. Is we want to beat Lowndes all the time, and in every sport, our girls are just working on their way to get there.
And I mean, at the beginning of the show, I explained that the idea of the scores on the page to today, and why we had why we reached out to the four of you, was kind of secondaries, because I wanted it to be an education about where these programs are and where you would like to go, all of the challenges and everything that you have to tackle in season, support, all these kinds of things. And you end up with you lose to Lowndes, you beat Macon County, you lose at Claxton, you're in region play. And I mean, this is, Cody, a region, regardless of any sport, it is knock down, drag out, pack a lunch, a dinner, a midnight snack, maybe a cot and a pith helmet and machete sometimes, to try to figure out how competitive it is. For someone who hasn't seen Region 1-6A soccer, what has this early part been like for you to see what it's been like?
Is it top to bottom? I think that it's going to be the most competitive region in the entire state at any classification. Colquitt only beat Tift 1-0 last week. Richmond Hill beat Tift 3-0. Camden and Lowndes were a competitive game. Score doesn't show it, but we fought for, outside of the first 10 minutes of each half, we felt it was more of a balanced matchup. And so it's one of those 6 teams get 4 playoff spots, and who's gonna end up being able to withstand the haymakers long enough to get into that final 32.
Yeah, and is it the same from your perspective, Ben, when it comes to breaking down 1-6A on the girls' side?
Very much so. Richmond Hill is the class of the region when it comes to girls, and when it comes to contenders in the state of Georgia, especially in 6A, to be outside of the metro area. Richmond Hill is there. They're very competitive, and Lowndes and Camden, Tift, Colquitt are all girls programs that, I mean, they are top tier in our area, and they're the reason why we're in 6A, the reason why they got the numbers to be competitive, and it's a buzzsaw of a region. I mean, the way I'm looking at it now is there are some teams that could probably go out in any given night, depending on its home or away. There can definitely be an opportunity to win.
So, Cody, last time we caught up with you and Ben was when you were walking into the region meeting, which was kind of funny that we were blessed to get that kind of access. Yes, I'm walking into the meeting here at coffee, so I've got to hang up now. For the two of you to go and hang on with your business, and I can't thank you and Ben enough for doing that. When it comes to going into these meetings and trying to grow the sport and get recognition for the sport and the support that is needed from a region perspective, whether you're talking about other schools, the geography, or just outside the program, what challenges are you seeing as you are going along here in this season? On the field, off the field, doesn't matter.
Well, right now it's just biggest challenge is finding our region wins. Valdosta hasn't won a region game in 3 years, and just trying to find that against teams and coaches who are very high level, very, elite, and also trying to find games where we can compete and where we can challenge teams and where, we can show our kids, hey, we are a talented team. We are a good team, and finding ways to show them that we can compete against anybody on any given night. We were down 5-0 last night, and our boys kept fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting, and they finally put in a goal in the last 10 minutes. It wasn't a case of, they're up a couple goals now, now we're limping around and we need out and I need sub. We kept fighting and fighting. We had a never, ever, ever, ever give up attitude last night. And so, that's been really nice to see. And we're going to need that for a long competitive season against high level elite teams.
So, and Ben, you mentioned what it was like to get that goal on the board. How difficult is it knowing this, the labor that you and Cody are a part of there at Valdosta about getting the program on an even keel and continuing to improve in the highest classification? How much of a challenge is it and this probably could apply to both of you as coaches, how much of a challenge is it to remind the student athlete, okay, it's about the larger picture. Yes, we got a goal. Fantastic. We did that. That's great. Going up against Lowndes and making sure that we can compete against them in 20-minute, 40-minute, 60-minute chunks, that's great too. do they understand that, yes, there is the wins and loss in the immediate sense, but do they understand the idea of the building blocks for the larger picture, Ben, do you think?
Actually, that's probably my most enjoyable part of aspect of coaching, especially these young ladies right now. It seems to be an everyday thing that we're selling them on little victories. And I told these young ladies and their parents from the get-go that it's going to take little victories, and it's going to take building. It's going to take not just one season. We're seeing growth and huge growth in the first season, but it's going to take small victories like yesterday. It's going to take small victories like middle school getting big wins. We're going to take small victories like girls being more passionate and playing the game more and more. Those kinds of small victories to me are the easiest ones to pitch, because it's, yes, the scoreboard might not have shown it, but it's, hey, this time around we were almost to 200 passes. This time around we held a lead. This time around we were competitive. We found a win. We're going. We feel it. You can see it in the body language and in the way the girls practice and the way the girls stay focused. And I can see the same thing over on the boys' side. It's just the mentality. It may be easy this season, and we may get deeper into this season, and we may find some rough spots. But for right now, we're seeing a lot of this. The mentality is there. They're bringing it, and they're bringing it with a great attitude. They're learning to grow. They're learning to be happy. They're getting well into the game.
Same for you, Cody?
Absolutely. We are, I had 3 of my players in the locker room last night talking about, hey, what they did wrong and where they messed up and what they could have done better, and where, they need to improve at in practice to prepare for Camden on Friday. And, coming in here, the players aren't going to buy in, your parents aren't going to buy in. And that's not what I've experienced. From day one, the kids have come in here, coach, we want to win. We want to win region. We want to win a region game. We want to get to playoffs. We want to compete with the Lowndes and Colquitt and Tips of the world. And again, they've been in there, they listen, they're holding themselves accountable. They hold each other accountable. And you would not have expected this coming into a team that only won 10 games the past 3 years combined. They have the mindset, the focus, they give effort in practice. They want to be an elite team. And so right now it's just getting the soccer part where their mentality is and matching that up.
Coach, Ben, when it comes to bringing players in under the tent, is it easy to do? Is it difficult when it comes to assembling a roster and student athletes? Where is it when it comes to roster assembly for you?
For me, it's been almost like a recruitment process within the school. The big thing with us is we got athletes. There are young lady athletes walking around our schools, and I found a way to get some of them to come out and play soccer, and that's big. Is bringing some of the girls that have been on the team and been within the program in the past that had left, and kind of, hey, you're still in school, come on back, let's get that involved. But going out and finding athletes, we've been able to really come out and find some young ladies who've come out to the field, and with my middle school program, encouraging them and growth in that area, and getting them, hey, let's play more soccer, let's get involved in clubs and stuff like that. It's not been an extremely difficult challenging, yes, but not difficult.
So challenging, yes, but not difficult. Same for you, Cody, on the men's side?
Yeah, so our number from day one, again, we went out, we recruited the hallways. We went to every middle school in our district. Our middle school, we play 5th graders at the middle school level. So we went to every elementary school and we recruited and we had meetings, and, we didn't have kids just, hey, stick a poster on the wall. We went and we tried to get in front of them. We have a freshman team for the first time ever. We have 2 middle school teams. We were able to create 2 middle school teams. And, we're showing that, that soccer's there, the talent's there, and that the results are coming. We were 3-0 for only the 2nd time in program history. Between JV and varsity, they only won 6 games last year. We're 8-2 right now between varsity, JV, and freshmen. Our middle school teams, they both are winning more games. Our A team is winning more games than they did last year. Our B team won their first ever game last week. And so, the players are here, the athletes are here. It's just getting them in and, finding games for them. You get better at soccer by playing soccer, in my opinion.
Ben Davis, Cody Case, the coaches for the girls and boys teams at Valdosta, hanging out with us here in the red clay. So you've got a roadie coming up, and let's see. So today is Wednesday. It's on Friday, and you're going from Valdosta to basically the Bahamas. The only thing separating you is that water that's there. When it comes to these road trips, the long roads that you're going from, whether it's to Richmond Hill, which is basically like Savannah from Valdosta, or you're going to Kingsland, which is basically Jacksonville from Valdosta. Ben, let me ask you first, when it comes to a growing program, and you have one of these roadies that really can grind on players and coaches, and it's a different kind of learning experience. How is your approach, or I guess what is your approach in this, so they don't step off the bus and it just turns into one of these where our legs are mush and it could kind of get out of hand pretty quickly? How are you handling the idea of a long road trip to keep it entertaining, keep them healthy, and make sure that they're as well as they can be when they step off the bus there and go over to Gilman?
First things first is feeding them. When we get on the bus, we're handing them a peanut butter and jelly or a sandwich and a fruit and a snack when we get on the bus. So one, we're putting food. I'm kind of a laid back guy when it comes to road trips. Yes, there's camaraderie. They're going to hang out. They're going to talk. And I've been very impressed with our young ladies when we're getting on the road. We've already gone to Claxton. That was a nice haul. And Macon County was the same way. So kind of prepping ourselves for these trips. But there's camaraderie. I heard laughing. I heard fun. And then I watched girls that were watching movies, but they were talking and they were having fun. And that kind of aspect of, yeah, we're hopping on a bus and we're taking a long road trip, but making it an enjoyable time, making it something that they're getting together, they're socializing, and we're spending time together in a positive manner.
So, Cody, are you leaving tomorrow after school to start heading to Kingsland? Is that how this is working for this one?
Not yet. It feels that way. We have that, and we have Richmond Hill coming up, and so.
Oh man, yeah. So, do you both drive the Yellowhounds on these, or do you have somebody else to help you out? Oh, Ben drives the Yellowhound. Okay.
And I do not. I have not got my CDL.
Wow. So I mean, it's that adds to the challenges in all of this stuff. And then when it comes to, so Cody, when it comes to study hall and getting ready for opponents, does the team understand, okay, this is a part of it? How do you approach it? Are you standard in your approach for study hall, or is it pretty typical where we're going to go look at tape? We're going to trust that the kids are going to look at tape. How do you do this within the growing program?
Luckily for us, the coach before me last year, Coach McCall, he was very, very studious about film, and they sat and they watched the previous games. Something that I've tried to do, and it's just my, I guess, habit, is I coach varsity football for 10 years. And, I want to go out and I want to search and I want to find for those opponents' films. Like, I want to show our kids the team that we're playing beforehand. Hey, here's what they do. Here's how they line up. Here's their players. Here's what they want to do. Like, here's where we can have success against these teams. And so that's been the new thing that I've brought here, is that, hey, we're going to sit down and we're going to study. We're going to watch our opponents' films beforehand. And so we're not just going out there and playing, based on rumor or what the kids know about these other teams. Like, hey, here's right in front of them. Here's how they line up. Here's what they like to do. And so we've been so the film aspect hasn't been new. We're just doing a little more than they're used to.
Same for you, Ben. How do you approach things with a growing program?
Our young ladies aren't quite used to watching film yet, so we're learning how to break ourselves down and show a lot of try to get our own film and break it down and talk about it. I do a lot of film study. I'll watch and break down and watch opposing teams, and then I kind of use it as hey, at practice we're going to go over a scouting report, and we're going to address it in that manner of, hey, this is what we're going to expect formation-wise. This is where their top players are. This is the direction I see them attacking, kind of deal. And then set piece, what is a set piece for them going to look like? That kind of stuff. I usually hand deliver those kind of information to them. That way that there's just a little bit more focus to them in that direction. But I'd rather see mine as they learn to play a position and break down our own play.
Okay, last question for you both, and thank you for hanging out as long as you have. If you need a note to give to the principal or the AD, let me know. Cody, what do you need? I know it's a philosophical question, and nothing like the last one being a philosophical question, but what do you need right now?
Honestly, and to sound very simplistic about it, we need wins. Winning solves all problems. We have a lot of rebuilding is not the right word, but we have a lot of bad streaks that we are trying to beat this year. We started 3-0. We have a positive goal differential 4 games into the season for the first time in a long time. We got our 200th win on Friday versus Valwood. So finding these ways to show success as we find those actual wins. But we're not a, hey, come in, get better. We're going to get 1% better every day team. Let the results lay in. I came in and, hey, my players want to win. My parents want to win. My athletic admin wants to win. And so that's what we're striving for.
Okay, so since Cody won the toss, Ben, and you have to answer the question first, I ask it to you last. What do you need right now?
Depth. Big thing for our young ladies is depth. We're playing right now, and we're a little thin. We got some injuries that have stacked up on us early, and like we saw last night against Lowndes, starting 11 played great. We sat and we were able to play, and it was just once we started losing that energy, and once we started not having the depth, and the JV plays the same way right now. We just a little depth. So as we build our program into the future and young ladies come in and start to grow, having that depth is going to be beneficial.
Well, gentlemen, I cannot thank you enough for coming in and being a part of the theme show that I wanted to piece together here to educate everybody about what's going on in South Georgia A, with Winnersville B, with each school that's attached to it C and D. And I can't thank you guys enough for continuing to come on and update us as to how things are, as you are both trying to put the foundations together there at Valdosta on the boys and girls side for the soccer programs. I can't thank you enough, guys. I'll be knocking on your door again soon. And like I said, if at any point I need to write a note during the lunch hour or during the live show in the morning that it's like, please excuse Coach Blank for this reason, just let me know, and I'll go ahead and shoot you an email. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having us.
Go Cats.
There you go, Cats.
There it is. There's the ending of the interviews. Cody Case and Ben Davis, the head coaches for the boys and the girls teams at Valdosta. So yes, the coaches are ending their interviews with the rally cry for the programs. That's how this goes. Yeah, they are locked into this whole thing. So coaches, you see it in the American football. They're exiting with the microphone. It's time to go away from the halftime interview. There's always the tagline. And so they give you the tagline. Coach Davis and Coach Case, they gave you the tagline. There you go. They're getting to it. So, like I said, once again, last night, Winnersville, the results for this program today are secondary. And yes, they were both wins for Lowndes, but it's more an opportunity to share what these 4 programs are doing and what they're going through as they're in Region 1-6A and they're in South Georgia and they're building, and you see what's going on in Thomasville, in Moultrie, in Tifton, in Waycross, in Richmond Hill, in Kingsland, all of those places. And that's why I wanted to have it be this kind of a discussion. Not necessarily about X's and O's and wins and margin of victory and all that kind of thing. And yes, Lowndes took both sides. And that was not really why we did Red Clay this way today. I wanted to kind of introduce Winnersville Classic FUTBOL as a part of the audience here, to the audience here. And if you heard something that is, similar to what is going on with your favorite high school program, then hopefully knowing that you're not out there by yourself as you're building a program or continuing to get noticed on whichever sphere you're looking at, that you're not by yourself, that the more you think you don't have in common with somebody, the more you probably do. And that's kind of why I wanted to have the program be what it is today. So let's get you into the schedule for today. Kind of light on both sides, just to kind of give you an idea as to how it's looking. So girls soccer today, 24 matches. You've got a lot of the GICAA that they're going to have their kickoffs in the afternoon. Girls side, Frederica Academy is going to play Hilton Head Prep. Armurchie and Ridgeland is at 5. South Effingham County. That's a big rivalry. That's at 5 o'clock. Dade County and Tryon. Nice matchup. Northwest Georgia is at 5. Dodge County and Central Macon's at 5:30. Tucker and Stone Mountains at 5:30. Same with Cartersville and Model. And then you have Northeast and McDonough, Adairsville and Bowden, East Paulding and Sequoia at 6, along with Cass and Woodstock. Woodward Academy's taking on Mount Pisgah, Chapel Hill and Hiram, and Walnut Grove and Loganville, with Shaw and Carrollton and Locust Grove and Whitewater. Those are your girls' matchups for today. And checking on the boys' side, just in the interest of making sure that we give you their schedule for today. Once again, it is flipped schedules, 14 matches, once again kicking off at 4:30, and it is pretty much the same teams that we've talked about. Our Murchie and Ridgeland is at 7 o'clock. Most of the boys' games are later. So the girls' matchups that we talked about, Denmark and Brookwood is an additional one. That's at 8 o'clock. Denmark and Brookwood, 3-1 Denmark, 2-1 Brookwood with Coach Mosen. And that one is tonight at 8 o'clock. And so that's another go-round of the Red Clay here on a Wednesday. Thanks to all the coaches at Lowndes and Valdosta, Coach Van Hook, Lieutenant Colonel Wayan, Coach Davis, and Coach Case for breaking everything down when it comes to Winnersville and these two programs within the scope of A, Region 1-6A, B, South Georgia, and here in Georgia when it comes to high school soccer. Next week, we're going to try and track down some more coaches around the state, find out how things are with them. Friday night, West Forsyth and Lambert. Maddie and I are going to be there, and I think it's 6 and 8, and that'll be on the network here. Tomorrow morning at 9:05, it is Max Anderson from Chicago Fire. It is Nino and Nico, and it is a great rundown there as well for all of that. So once again, thanks for dropping by here on another go-round of Red Clay Soccer Report. I'm John. Play it safe. Mucho platiel. Since it is the end of the show, that means we get to do this, and we'll catch up with you at 9 to 5 tomorrow morning.